Are you experiencing a whole new dimension of yourself, of life, of reality? Are you starting to recognize that the way you've been in the world is almost as though you've been asleep? And you are waking up, but you're not really sure if you're waking up or making this all up. And yeah, this transformation that's going on the planet right now is very confusing. And it's important for us to integrate and begin to assimilate more and more of our higher consciousness as it's coming back online, learning how to be more authentic. We're learning how to be more heart-centered and self-loving. We are learning how to see the world through a more accurate perception. We're learning how to communicate more authentically, and it's a messy process. So that's what we're talking about week by week as we go through this period of time. And this week, I want to talk about how to use your inner senses in your outer world. It's not like you're going to be overwhelmed with these downloads that shake and rattle and roll you. Your spiritual self and your spiritual communication that comes from your guides and your higher self and your creator are very subtle. But you know what? They're practical too. So I want to point out what I would call spirit speak this week. You know, I've written about it. I'm going to just show you. I've written about to the spirit world in my book, Ask Your Guides, which is also an audio book. So if you want to hear how to relate to the spirit world instead of read, that's available for you. But basically, I'm going to talk today about how the guides get your attention. I have a podcast with my daughters called It's All Related, and every week we get a question on that podcast. One of the questions this week was, we have angels, okay, we have guides, we have helper guides, we have teacher guides, we have light beings. Oh my God, I almost feel like I need to put notes in my phone to make sure I get the right one or call the right one. I can't figure this out. I don't want to make a mistake. Well, that was such a good piece of a good question and feedback, because our ego brains tell us that we have to figure it all out and we better know the answer and we better get it right or we lose. Whereas when you start working with the fifth dimension and you start connecting to your spirit self, what you recognize is I am wired into the universe and it's very organized and it knows what I need better than my intellect, better than my immediate ego. So we don't need to know who to call. We just need to know that we can call. And whatever help is the right vibrational match for us, we'll respond with our invitation. So my name's Sonia Choquette. If you're new to my channel, let me quickly introduce myself. I'm a spiritual guide and channel and have been for over 50 years. I've written many, many books and have been teaching around the world how to wake up the spirit, how to live in the fifth dimension, in the physical body, in a practical, grounded, easy way. This week, we're talking about how to connect with those guides and how to recognize when they're connecting with us. Now, guides are subtle. They don't like to scare you, and they're very funny. They like to leave you clues. They like to leave you jokes. They like to leave you little messages. So I was in a car with my daughter in New Orleans, and we were racing across town to get some pizza of all things. And I had the vibe we should just be aware, just not go too fast. I didn't, and this is how the guides get kind of connect with you. Your energy starts to pick up the pace of not just your own experience, but other people's experience. And it didn't feel like it was like someone was out of control driving, that I just thought, slow down. So I didn't say anything at first. I don't want to be a critical rider in the car, but we were going a little bit faster than maybe was necessary. Well, we got to a light. We stopped at the light, and there was a car in front of us. And in the car in front of us, the license plate was SL3DN. Slow down. Now, you might not have seen this, but I did. This is how the guides kind of put it there. Hopefully you see it. A little message like, slow thee down, slow down. And I laughed and I said, Son, I think we need to slow down. So that's just one of the ways in which guides get your connection. You might, for example, you might be waiting for the bus or was sitting outside and having a little coffee on a terrace, and you see a bus go by with a big banner on the side that might be just a message for you. One of my clients said she was having a coffee on a terrace in Paris where she lived, and she said she saw one of the buses go by, and all it said was adventure. And she said, the minute I saw that, I knew that a trip I had been invited to go on in Italy, a camping trip that wasn't my style, was calling me. That adventure just caught my eye, and so I decided it was for me, saying, go for it, go for the adventure. So what got my attention was my friend who was inviting me said to me 3 times just the day before, come on, it'll be a fun adventure. And there it was. That's how your guides communicate with you. And notice, pay attention, look around, be available to the present moment. That's where the guides are here. They're not in our checked out in our phones, not listening, speeding too fast. They're not in that realm where you're neither here nor there. It's when you're paying attention and you're present. So one of the ways in which to connect more quickly with your guides, there are a couple ways. One is to ask yourself, how available am I to help? A lot of us are, leave me alone. I don't want your input. I want to do it my own way. And your guides are like, fair, okay, we love you. We're just here, if in case you change your mind. So a lot of people say, I read about the guides and I believe it, but I always forget to ask. So yeah, it's a new habit. If all of a sudden you're made aware that you have a lot of support, you have to get used to letting that support happen. I remember once when I was a student in Paris, when I was in when I was 21, I went to Paris. I went back to the University of Paris called the Sorbonne. And one of the friends that I met said to me, I was very lonely and very unhappy. And I met another kid at school, and he said, you know what? I'm having coffee with a friend of mine. Would you like to join? Being a very shy student at the time, I said, I'd love to. We went. Next thing I know, he said to me, his friend was an older guy, and he said, my niece would really love to learn English, and their family would love to take in a student. Would you like to move in with them? It was a beautiful family. It was an elegant family. They sold coffee. They had wines and champagnes. It was quite a step up from my bohemian roots. And so when I moved in, they had servants. They had a little table where you rang a bell underneath. I was so out of my element. And I was told one thing: whatever you do, if you need help, just ask. We have someone who will help you all the time. And I was afraid to ask. So the very first week I lived there, they went away for the weekend, and I was in this beautiful house all by myself. And I thought, well, I'm going to do my laundry. I'm not going to ask anybody to do my laundry. I'm going to do my laundry. So I put the laundry in the wash. Oh my God, knowing full well I was told not to do the laundry. However it happened, my underwear got loose from the laundry, wrapped around the motor, and burned the machine out. Needless to say, I was horrified. I was so horrified that I went back to my other friend's house and said, I can't go back. I blew it. I broke the washing machine on my first weekend there when I was told, don't touch. We'll help you. And so I called and cried and admitted my problem and my mistake and my crisis to them. And they laughed. They said, come back. We love you. We want to help you. It's an old machine. It's one of the reasons we didn't want you to do your own laundry is because it's a typical, there's ways to do these things. But it was a lesson for me because I remember that beautiful woman who was the head of the household who took me in and wanted me to be there for her family and daughter. She said, let us make your life easier. Just for now. You won't be here forever. And I remember that for all these years. And I always remember because, one, I was super lonely. Life was very hard. I didn't have any help. And I just got given this incredible experience and ushered into this beautiful home with this beautiful family with whom I am friends to this day. And that was 50 years ago. Maybe not quite, 40. A little bit over. But that's how the guides work. We have to get used to letting life be easier. Doesn't mean we check out. Doesn't mean we're not responsible. Doesn't mean we pay attention. Does mean that when we are being offered something wonderful and beautiful and loving and even if it's beyond what we can actually imagine for ourselves, we allow it. We say yes. We say yes. Okay, this is uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable to be helped. It's easier for my ego to do it myself. It's uncomfortable to be vulnerable. It's easier for my ego to say I don't need any help. It's uncomfortable to be in a new frequency and out of your element, which the whole world is in right now. So we're all uncomfortable. But let's frame it that this is a good thing, that it's growth and that there's support available, and then let's allow it. Don't be negative. Don't be expecting the worst thing to happen because we are massive creators. And if we expect awful, we'll get awful because we created awful. Now, not intentionally, but one of the books I wrote, Your Heart's Desire, Creating the Life You Really Want, which was about my mentoring with my master metaphysician teacher in manifestation, says we don't get what we want, but we certainly do get what we dwell on, because it's what holds our attention, what holds our focus, is what will attract to us. Now, having been really raised in a family and with spiritual teachers that taught me the universe loves you and will be good to you, it has consistently been miraculously good. And my biggest lesson has been allowing that to be okay, letting that come in and receiving that without resistance. So these little messages will come, these little helpers, but you have to pay attention and you have to say yes. When my friend invited me to come for coffee, I could have said no. It would have been much easier to be alone, not admit my vulnerability, not show up and not be courageous to go in a situation and with someone I didn't know and maybe didn't speak the language well enough. There was a lot of gates to cross, but my desire to connect and be supported was greater than my ego's resistance. So here's something I want to ask you, and I invite you to answer in the comments. And just be quiet for a minute and ask yourself, where have my guides been trying to help me? And don't let your ego jump immediately on it and say, nowhere, it's not happening, because that's not true. Your angels and your guides and your creator and the loving universe is trying to help you all the time. But it's not in the ways necessarily you want or you decide they should happen. I remember, and I learned this, it's in my book, Creating Your Heart's Desire. It's called Your Heart's Desire, Creating the Life You Really Want, if you want to know the name of that book. There's 9 principles in creating, and principle number 5 is the one about getting support from the universe. Principle number 5 is tell the universe what you want. Don't tell it how. Don't you decide it has to be this guy, this job, this way, because it may not be the best way. So say, this is what I want. Bring me the best version of this. One of my clients was dating a guy that was just so awful to her, and she said, just wanted him to love me and marry me, just obsessively. And I said, well, ask your guides for help. Ask your guides for help. And she said, well, how do I ask? Say, I want to be loved, and I'd like to be in a long-term committed relationship. And she said, 2 days later, he broke up with me. And I was so pissed. I was so traumatized because I believed my guides would help me. But 6 months later, I moved from that. I moved from that town. I went to another town. 6 months later, I went back to school, met the guy that I did feel loved by, and we are married. So my guides answered me. They gave me what would be best for me, not what I thought I wanted. And she said, in retrospect, after I've matured some, marrying that guy would have been the worst. My dating him experience was the worst. So what was I thinking? So that's where you tell you guys what you want, but don't tell it how. You can read my book, Your Heart's Desire, Creating the Life You Really Want. Don't have a copy. And if you want to know more about the guides, I do have a copy of this one, Ask Your Guides. It'll give you tremendous insight in how to connect with the guides and just give you the reassurance. As a 5D, as an evolving conscious person, you are never alone. But we have to learn spirit speak. We have to learn how the universe connects with us, how the universe supports us. We have to learn that. And we can if we're open and have a beautiful sense of that I am valuable. The universe does want my life to go well, does want to help me, and is helping me. It's just for me to notice. So put in the comments, how is the universe helping you? If you say, I don't know, then ask the universe. Show me. Give me a gift. Give me a sign. Give me a message. And give me the wherewithal not to miss it. And then when you get that little sign, and there'll always be a little deal that makes a big difference, come back and share it on our comments. If you're new to my channel, thanks for tuning in. I hope you've enjoyed this. And if you do, please give me a thumbs up and come back, subscribe. We are having a great adventure together. And I look forward to seeing you again next week. All my love.